Welcome back. This is TNT, Coal Region Football's Thursday night tailgate, where we're taking a look at all of the action in the Anthracite Football League. We already took a look at the all the Week 3 games. What we're going to do now is preview all the Week 4 action. First, we got one team, as usual, going out of league. We got Jim Thorpe heading up to Tri-Valley. Jim Thorpe looking to stay on track.
Yeah, I kind of expect Jim Thorpe to go take care of business here this week. Haven't been scored upon yet defensively. Their only touchdown they gave up was on a fumble return. So, Williams Valley coming in at 1-2. Jim Thorpe still hasn't been beaten. They have showed that they have some playmakers offensively. Although Tamako kind of stifled them last week, but I'm expecting Jim Thorpe to stay on track and go take care of business out of the league.
Yeah, I mean they have the ride to Higgins, the dreadful always ride to Tri-Valley.
Yeah, it's a ride.
Yeah, it's
a ride.
Probably an hour and 40 minutes, hour and a half in a bus. So you always worry about that as a coach, and
it is got to be a little concerning.
Yeah, I mean you always do it. As simple as that it is.
Yeah.
But Tri-Valley is only averaging 14.3 points per game, so they're not really lighting it up on the scoreboard. They are down this year. I think people knew that in that league. Williams Valley handled them pretty well last week, and usually that game's a pretty big time game.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, I think Jim Thorpe's going to go up there, take care of business, like you said. I think it's important for their offense to get back on track. They were so explosive the first 2 weeks. Then last week they kind of, had that cutthroat game with Tamako. So they're going to want to score some points to get set up for the Schuylkill Haven game the week after. So, Jim Thorpe, expected, like Coop said, to go up there and take care of business.
Yeah, I think you're right. Getting back on track for their offense got to be a huge priority this week after getting 83 yards against Tamaqua. Fortunately, they were still able to come out with the win, but they got Tri-Valley. Tri-Valley is 1-2. Jim Thorpe 3-0, looking to keep it rolling. Okay, next we got Shenandoah Panther Valley, a game that both teams got to be pretty excited about. Both teams got to be looking forward to. They both had some very tough competition the first 3 weeks. Both teams coming in at 0-3. And, both teams, let's face it, they have Friday night circled as a game that they got to get. So, this one's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And homecoming game for Panther Valley to boot. It's kind of early in the year for homecoming, but the way the schedule worked out, they chose this as their homecoming game. And, Coach Davis obviously looking for that first W, but more importantly for Coach Davis is that his team keeps getting better week in and week out. And week 1 we saw him play pretty well. Week 2 not very good. Week 3 they came back and played well. So now they got to string together another one. Like you said, Pat, both teams coming in, maybe for the first time this season, really, really confident that they can win. They both had tough schedules to open the season. So, it's going to be, Panther Valley found some offense last week, rushed for over 200 yards. I think they're close to it. Schubeck ran the ball well. So, Panther Valley might be able to get something going this week and might be able to get their first win of the season at home in front of a large crowd for homecoming night.
Yeah, it was good to see Schubeck run the way he did. He had over 90 yards rushing, and Schubeck's a kid that's capable of making plays. It was good to see him make those plays on Friday night.
Yeah, I think whatever team makes the most amount of big plays is going to win this game. I mean, I think it's going to be one of those games where these guys are just going to be going for big plays. They're going to try and score touchdowns, as fast as they can. I don't think you're going to see one of those games where it's going to be 10, 11, 12 play drives to win the game. And I also think it's key. I think the match, how Panther Valley plays in their secondary. They're going to be tested like that. They haven't really been tested yet in the past game. Those guys that they've played have been all running teams. McColl's going to be raring to go. He's going to be flying all over the place, gunning the ball all over the place. So Panther Valley has to play discipline in the secondary, and try and contain McColl, try to get some pressure on him. I think if they can do that, they can come away with a W. But like you say, it's going to be, it's a toss-up. Whatever team wins, I think is going to have the bigger plays in there.
Yeah, it is. Their secondary, it's going to be big, and they got some young kids back there, and how are they going to handle McColl, who certainly could be considered one of the better quarterbacks in the league with the way that he can throw the ball. So,
of course.
Shenandoah coming to Panther Valley Friday night. Next, we got a big one at Blue Mountain. We talked to Coach McCarroll. We talked about the last week's North Schuylkill game, and we talked a lot about this one coming up. They're heading to Blue Mountain. Both teams sitting here with one league loss. Both teams losing to North Schuylkill, and both teams are teams that are capable of beating anyone else in the Anthracite Football League, and they obviously want to keep their league hopes alive, and the winner will. So this one is it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Any other week, this will be our game of the week. We'll get to that later, but this is right up there.
Yeah.
It's a big one, and I'll have the privilege of being there again this week to watch the Heighton and Blue Mountain. Third time I've seen Lee Heighton live, and second time for Blue Mountain, so I'm becoming very familiar with these teams. And big game for both teams. They're both going to come in at 2-1, like we said. not only are league implications involved because you don't want to fall 2 games back if whether North Schuylkill or Marion wins this week. But also you got to start looking at District 11, and we know it's a lot tougher in football to make it in playoffs than it is basketball, baseball, where you just need a 500 record. Football, only 4 teams get in, and you might be on the outside looking in with the 7-3 mark. So obviously a huge game early in the season for both these teams. Seeing them both play, they're both very physical football teams. They're good football teams, and it should be another very good game, close game. And 2 good quarterbacks are going to be on the field with Tyler Camperley-Heighton and Sean Greenwald from Blue Mountain, and looking forward to a good one. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it's important for Lehigh to get off to a good start. Obviously, you don't want to get down and put themselves in a 22-0 hole like they did last week. And another physical opponent. That's what I mean. Whenever you're on the road against a physical opponent, you don't want to get down early. I mean, I think it's a lot easier to come back when you're home. You got anything you do to get momentum back, you're gonna feel it from the fans, and that's gonna hype you up even more, and it tends to help you out. So I think that on the road, if you get down early, you're gonna have some issues. I think Lehigh's gonna bounce back though. I mean, they showed how well they bounced back in the second half. I think they can carry that momentum into this game. Blue Mountain showed that they have some vulnerabilities. I think in Lehigh's the way they match up with them, I think that they can take advantage of that. So I expect it to be another good game. It's going to be a very physical game once again. Lehigh doesn't get a rest this week. They go right from the biggest line to maybe the second biggest line. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it works out. But it should be another very high profile game in the league and very exciting to watch.
Yeah, and I think this one, I think this one's going to be decided in the trenches. I really do. You look at Blue Mountain last week, rushing for 290 yards, holding Pottsville scoreless on the defensive side of the ball. I believe they sacked Pottsville quarterback Patrick Keating. I think they sacked him 4 times. I mean, offensively and defensively up front, Blue Mountain really did a good job. Second half, Lehigh was the same way. The second half against North Schuylkill, the push they got on their offensive line, some of the big stands they got from the defensive front. So I think whatever line plays better this Friday night, that team's going to be the one that comes out on top. But it's going to be interesting. Both teams got playmakers. You mentioned Greenwald and Can. We also got Clements and Horn. So yeah, this is going to be an exciting one.
It'll be interesting for me to see how Blue Mountain plays against Cincinnati defense, because they had some blowout games that they won, but then when North Schuylkill came in a big physical defense, North Schuylkill shut them out. So Lehigh's coming in a very good defense, very physical also, and it'll be interesting to see if Blue Mountain can sustain drives. Because when I saw them week 2, they couldn't do it against the Spartans. See if they can do it this week against the Indians.
Yeah, I think there's a big litmus test for Lehigh to see kind of where they're at. Obviously, right now it appears North Schuylkill's above everyone else in the league, but it's kind of interesting to see where that second tier is going to fall and who is in that second tier and how that plays out. So going to be interesting to see how that plays out Friday night with Lehigh traveling to Blue Mountain. Next, we've got Monty area going to Minersville. Minersville looking for some continued improvement. We mentioned some of the guys in our review of last week's games that have been playing well, particularly McBreen and Stevens. And Schultz running the ball hard, and Monty area, they got some playmakers. Richmond, he went out against Panther Valley. We're not sure if he's going to be available, but still, Mason Ryan, 2 weeks ago against Haven, huge game. Evans against Panther Valley, big game, and Monty area, they're sitting here with a chance to be 3-1.
Yeah, they are, and until Minersville starts showing us something, it's hard to get excited about or to think that that they're going to be in a game, and they just need to take that extra step. And at Bonner area, we said from the bat, they're a physical team. They do run the ball well. They do some good things out there. And right now they're playing with confidence. So they're going to go into Minersville, bring in all that confidence, and Minersville is going to need to really step up and just keep themselves in a football game and allow their playmakers to make some plays that are meaningful, before they get too far behind.
Yeah, Minersville's given up 40 points a game over the last 3 weeks. So anytime you're doing that, it's going to be tough to win. I think the Monroe offense sputtered a little last week, but they have some dynamic guys in Mason and Mason. I think those guys, Mason Evans and the other Mason are going to be too much. Mason Ryan are going to be too much for them, to be honest with you. And I think this week they're going to be a little bit more motivated because I don't think that they got as many big plays as they wanted to. So I would think that Monroe is going to take care of business up there. And like I mentioned before, I think it's just important for Minersville and Coach Mason. I'm sure he's frustrated. They just need to find something that works for them. I think once they find something that works for them, they get some consistency on the offense and defense side of the ball. They can start to work with some things a little bit. I think they need to find. I don't know if either run game. Usually, obviously predominantly a run team they have been. But they got McBean back there. Who, if he can throw it, let him throw it. You know what I mean? He has an arm on him, and he can run the ball a little bit. So, like I said, I just think they need to find their identity a little bit, and then moving forward, just keep playing tough. They're going to be tough, but just another tough matchup for Miami this week.
Tamaqua is hosting Schuylkill Haven in our next game. Tamaqua coming off a tough 7-6 loss to Jukdorp. Schuylkill Haven beat Shenandoah last week, 22-0. And this is a huge game for both teams.
Mm-hmm.
This is a huge game for both teams. Tamaqua sitting here 1-2, Haven 2-1, and this could really be a springboard for the winner of this game. And to put it bluntly, the loser of this game, it's a brutal loss,
Yeah.
Regardless of who it is. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I think Tamaqua, and I feel like I mentioned this every week, but I think the physicality of them, the strength of them, that matches up well with Haven.
Mm-hmm.
However, Haven has Casella. So what do you think?
These are probably the two teams in the league right now that the biggest question marks around. Like we just really don't know where they're at yet. Like we know who's really good right now. We know the teams that are struggling right now, and these are two of those teams that we're really not
That we think have
sure.
potential.
Yeah, like we
Sure.
Yeah.
Not teams that, obviously the question mark teams are the teams that aren't playing very well. But these are two teams that we think are
Right,
potentially
we thought
great,
they were-
but we don't know if they're going to take the
Yeah,
next
we
step.
thought they'd be in that
Yeah.
top 5 tier
Yeah.
maybe, and
Like 5 weeks down the road, if one of these teams beat North Schuylkill or something,
We'd be like, well,
you wouldn't be shocked.
No.
right, and then looking at Schuylkill Haven's schedule, it gets tough on the rest of the way through, and again they probably went into the preseason favored as the single A District 11
Yeah.
playoff champs, coming back from trying to repeat. And now, if they let this one get away at home against Tamaqua, now they're starting to think, hey, we might not even get in. So, big game for both teams. And like I said, I'm just waiting to see, which one of these teams emerge and start letting us know who they really are.
Yeah, for Tamaqua, I think this game's a little more important because I think regardless of what happens, Haven's going to get into the playoffs, single A District 11, because it's just not strong.
Right.
So I think they're going to get in. So I think they just want to play decent and well enough to get all their guys healthy, because once again, we don't think Fink's healthy. I mean, he's just not right. He's not. So I think for Tamaqua, they don't want to start off 0-3 in the league. I mean, they can start off 1-3, they lose this game, and that's just, you start 0-3, I mean, you're in the doldrums there. And here's my little stat of the night for Haven. After last year, they lost 3 out of their first 7 games when they didn't have everybody, and then the personnel. It was actually after that Tamaqua game last year when Hope went haywire and ran for almost 300 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually covering that game, I couldn't believe it. I've never seen Mike Farr totally dejected, and he just was like, I don't even know what to say to you. The guy he just ran all over us. You know what I mean? And that just doesn't happen to Haven.
No, it doesn't.
But then they went on to win 6 straight games. They had all their guys. I think they all got on the same page.
Right.
And I think that this season is kind of shaping up to be the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That drives you crazy as a coach.
Sure.
But I think it is, because until Fink's healthy, this team's just not going to be the same. Because he can throw it, he can run it, he's smart, he's been there, he's been in the big games. And until he's healthy, I don't think they're going to be the same. And I think when he does get healthy, that they can be just as good as they were last year, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Sure.
So,
I mean, I think he is one of the top, any way you measure, he's one of the top 5 players in the Anthracite Football League.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he showed it last season. I mean, look what he did last year.
Absolutely, throughout his career. I
Yeah.
mean, he's one of the top 5 players, and where he falls in that top 5, I don't know, but he's in there.
When he's healthy, yeah.
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 And
So you're missing that. That's huge.
And Schuylkill Haven's not going to rush him back because, like you said,
No, why?
there's a good
You
chance
don't
they're
have
going to
to.
get to the
Why
district
play him
anyway.
against
Exactly.
huge teams with
Yeah.
huge lines
So,
when you can save them for later on in your year, when you know you can rattle off 6 or 7 wins in a row? You know what I mean? Simple as that. Look at what they did in the playoffs. I think they were average, until they played Old Forge, I think they were beating teams by 30 in the state playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, after they lost 3 or 4 games in the regular season, so that just shows you right there.
And as I said, we would be shocked if these
Yeah.
came up with a big win. Obviously, Tamaqua already lost North Schuylkill, but what I meant to say, we would be shocked if Haven beat the North Schuylkill or Tamaqua beat a Marion.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the other top tier
Yes.
teams later in the year.
Yeah.
Both of those teams we think have that potential, as I'm sure that they do as well. So huge game for both of those teams, which brings us to our game of the week. I feel like we're going to be talking about North Schuylkill and our game of the week a lot. Game of the week this week, North Schuylkill, heading to hometown. We mentioned a couple times throughout the first couple weeks, Marion's got a lot of playmakers. They should be able to compete and be in that top echelon of teams this year. There's no reason they shouldn't be. We're gonna find out Friday night. North Schuylkill coming off a big road win at Lee Heighton, back on the road heading to hometown. That's a tough task, and Marion, they're gonna be tested like they haven't been tested so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game comes down to in the trenches, but kind of differently because you have North Schuylkill, who's strong, can move well, great pass blocking, great run blocking, and then you have the speed rush that Marion has come up with this season. They have added some players to their roster and some depth to their team, and got some guys that showed up that maybe Coach Sikoski didn't think he would. I keep mentioning every week. I mean, when you talk to somebody in the beginning of the year, and you're like, I really don't know what we're going to have on defense until we start playing some football games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, usually a coach is pretty confident what you're going to have, and he was just like, I just don't know. We have the players, but they just aren't experienced. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, they're just quick, they're just fast. They get around people, they're in the backfield, they throw a lot of stunts at you, a lot of blitzes, and they're going to do the same thing. And, they're going to challenge North Schuylkill, I think. And it all depends how they react to that.
And
that's how I think that's what I really think the game's gonna come down to. Because if Grigas has time, they're gonna get picked apart. If he doesn't, who knows? He could throw a few interceptions or whatever. I think that's what the game comes down to.
Kaczynski for Marion, their sophomore quarterback, boy, he's been extremely efficient.
Oh yeah,
I've been very impressed with his play. Maybe it doesn't always show up in the numbers, but the way that they move the ball, the way that he distributes it, and
yeah.
He makes big passes at big times. And, when they're needed. I think last week he was 5 of 7 or in that neighborhood. I mean, he's been extremely efficient through the first 3 weeks. It's been impressive.
Yeah, and last week Lee Heighton proved that you can move the ball in their school. Up to that point, they seemed pretty dominant. Like they weren't gonna, you couldn't do anything against them. We saw now you can move the ball against them. Maybe get to the outside a little bit, do some different things against them. They're very tough in the middle. I mean, Paul Dean and Gadinsky, they just take up so much space in the middle that you're not going to push them straight ahead. But maybe get to the outside using those playmakers like Muscornick, and we've seen North Schuylkill play enough. They're just tough, and they're going to come out and try to establish their physicality like they usually do. And it's going to be how will Marion react to that. And if North Schuylkill gets off to that quick start again, it's tough to catch up because you can't score quick on them. You got to grind it out. And it's again another great matchup coming up. And it seems like I said, we talk about North Schuylkill every single week, but until somebody beats them, that's kind of how it's going to be.
Yeah, I also think it's important for KJ Stewart to have a good game. I mean, he's been kind of carrying them on the running game, and I think he's been healthy. And look at the kind of success they've had. Because if you won't be able to get Muscornick the ball against North Schuylkill unless you run the ball well. That's my thing. You're not going to be able to protect. I don't think Marion's offensive line is going to be able to protect him unless they're running the football well, so they can do some play action stuff. So in order to get Muscornick the ball, which is I think their best asset, they're going to have Snell's going to have to run the ball effectively, which he's shown he's been able to do. But like we've talked about, it's a whole other animal with that front line for North Schuylkill, and they have to. It's funny. It's like a college team. They just run like different guys out there. It's like, well, this guy's tired. Let's just run another huge guy out there. It's just like it's funny. It's just funny to see. You don't see that much in high school, especially in a AA school. You just don't see that.
Yeah, we said last week it's hard to find a weakness.
Yeah,
when we find a weakness on North Schuylkill, I don't really know where it is. Now this week, I shouldn't say they're going to be without Major Jordan. It kind of appears that maybe
with concussions nowadays, and
we're not going to speculate. But we'll say that if he's not playing, obviously that hurts him. The kid's a monster.
Yeah, like Brad said, they are deep and they're good. They're a good program. So whoever they've put in there to fill in for Major Jordan for the week, he's going to get the job done. He might not be as quick sideline as Major Jordan is. I mean, he's a difference maker. So whoever does fill that spot is going to play big and play well. And I said, North School got some options of what they're going to do there. We might see, Pat Gowney move from safety position to play linebacker. We might just see somebody new come off the bench for them. But they have players that'll step in or step up, and whether Major Jordan plays or not, it's still going to be a task for Marion to move the football.
So who do you guys got? Who do you got?
My X factor is Tevin Murray, and I got North Schuylkill, and I think it's going to be by about 2 touchdowns.
Oh, wow.
That's what I think.
I have North Schuylkill until somebody proves us wrong, until somebody can step up and beat them. I'll take the Spartans also.
Yeah, I'll take the Spartans as well. I mean, like you guys said, till someone beats them is right. And it's just tough for. Obviously, we know Marion has a lot of talent. I just think it's tougher for those smaller schools to compete with them at the kind of level they are this year. And it's just nice to see them, last year they kind of got a lot of heat because people thought they underperformed. And it's just nice to see them come out and be like, you know what, last year was last year, we don't care. We're going to come out here and show you that we are big, we are strong, and that we are going to put it to teams every week. It's always nice to see that, especially after a team gets some heat like that. But I really think either whatever happens here, I still think Marion's still going to have a pretty good season no matter what. I don't think either season's going to be ruined, by a win or loss.
Yeah, they got players all over.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But so we all got North Schuylkill. I think last year this time we all probably said the same thing, and Marion went up, and Marion literally saved their season by beating North Schuylkill and ended up running off a bunch of wins to end the year and win the Eastern Conference. So it has potential for anything. We'll see what happens. Real quick, we got one question from Joe. Joe was asking how we think the league is going to shape up with the addition of new teams, specifically Pottsville. Pottsville is coming in 2016, and we got some other teams that we don't know if they're going to come in or not. There's a possibility, but we do know Pottsville's coming in. They're going to have to divide it up into a big and small division. And how do we kind of see the landscape with that? Personally, I think you can't have crossover games. I don't think you can bring in a school like Pottsville and expect a school like Montersville or Shenandoah to have to play them, and that's what I think. So I think if you keep those divisions separate, and hey, go pick up 4 non-league games, and there's going to be rivals that continue to play each other from each division, but it shouldn't be forced on them.
Sure, I agree with you, Pat. And like you said, there's already games in place that have taken place in Panther Valley, Tamako, Panther Valley, Jim Thorpe, Panther Valley, Lehighton. They might still happen. Schuylkill Haven might play Blue Mountain because they're right across the road from each other. Those games might happen. We're not sure. But like you said, to force a team to cross over, and we often talk about competitive disadvantage, and I think that's what you put some of these schools in when you bring these big schools in. I mean, from the NCAA all the way down, there's a reason why certain teams are in certain conferences, and there's a Division 1A and a 1AA, and you just can't put programs at a competitive disadvantage. No matter how good you may be on a given year, you just might not be able to compete. So I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree that you can't play the crossovers, but I just don't like the idea of having 2 different champions. I just don't like it. That's not, you always get that prideful thing. If Minersville is the best team in the league, they don't know that. They can't prove that if they don't play some of the crossover games. So I don't know. I guess you could do I thought it was kind of a cool thing. I actually just kind of thought of it a little bit ago. Like maybe how they have the Turkey Bowl. They have the Turkey Bowl games all over the place. The Thanksgiving Day games all over the place. Like East Stroudsburg South, and we'll play Stroudsburg, and you'll have Northampton and Caddy. Maybe you could do something where the small school division winner and the big school division winner play each other on Thanksgiving Day. Something like that. Because Easton and Phillipsburg do it every year, and those teams are always in contention for their respective district championships or states, and they play it. They play it no matter what. Some of those, you actually hear stories of the Eastern and Phillipsburg.
3 and 8. You said they won 3 games in 8 days.
Yeah, exactly. And they actually, Easton and Phillipsburg kind of care about that game more than they do about their playoff game, believe it or not. So maybe you could do something like that. I think that'd be kind of cool, like the Anthracite Thanksgiving Bowl or something. That'd be kind of neat to do. I don't know if it would happen, but for all you ADs out there, maybe think about it. But I just don't like the 2 division winners, to be honest with you. But I don't know what else to do. I'm not an athletic director, neither are you. We don't know. So let's leave it to you guys. I think you mentioned before that maybe make some ADs schedule some non-league games. Kind of mix it up a little bit there. Have some different, maybe some rivalries outside of the league.
Yeah, it presents challenges. It does, because if you have teams that will be at a competitive disadvantage, and then if you don't cross over, you have 2 champs and you have more non-league games to fill. But I think for schools, they can schedule non-league games that would best fit their program.
Yeah.
Schools in the bigger division, they could schedule teams that maybe would give them the best chance to get the points they need to get in. Teams that may be struggling in the smaller division could schedule games that they know they're going to be competitive in. And I just think you would have, if there's crossing over, you're going to have a clear disparity, and you're going to have certain teams that continually struggle, and certain teams that can chalk up a few wins a year. And I don't think that's what's best for the league either.
I think even if they do make the crossovers mandatory, whatever you want to call it, I still think you need to crown 2 division champs. And I don't think a single A school is going to want to play that extra week to go play the Division 1 champ, the big school division champ, to see who the league champion is. for me, if I'm a single A school, like a Mariner School Haven, I got my sights set on district playoffs, I don't wanna play an extra week just to say I did the, I'll win my division, be happy with that. I don't think you necessarily need that overall championship game anyway. Just about that.
I don't know, one piece of coal, one trophy, that's what I want in my case. I don't know, that's just me though.
Well, we'll see, maybe if we have a few more teams come in and make straighten things out a little more, but we'll see how that plays out. Thanks a lot, Joe, for the question, we appreciate it. That's our show, any closing thoughts?
Good to go.
We covered them all tonight.
Good to go. Big games this week, we'll be back next week, thanks again for joining us. TNT, Cole Region Football's Thursday night tailgate. Follow us on Twitter, @ColeRegionFBall. Hope you enjoyed the show, thanks again.